Hey everyone, Kevin here with an April 26th stimulus check and stimulus package update. First things first, Donald Trump is now officially being sued in an anonymous lawsuit over the debacle that legal citizens and residents who are married to individuals with ITIN numbers will not receive stimulus checks. That is, if I'm legally here in the country, I'm a resident or I'm a citizen, and I marry somebody who has an ITIN number, which is a way to pay taxes, pay into the system, but maybe they're not documented individuals, neither of us get stimulus checks. Now, no matter which side of the fence you are on, there has now been a lawsuit filed over this, which, remember, if you are in this situation, you have the potential of filing an amended 2019 return or filing your 2019 return separately. Just be careful. There are a lot of perks in the tax code for being married, but there are also marriage penalties in the tax code. So everybody's situation is going to be different. For example, in my situation where my income is higher than my wife's, we would receive a marriage benefit. Whereas my brother-in-law's income is similar to his wife's income, they actually receive a marriage penalty. Kind of weird how the system works. In other news, there is well, I'm just going to reiterate this quickly. A lot of us have already heard about this. There is a May 5th deadline if you are a non-filer, like a veteran, a supplemental security income recipient, a disability recipient, or you're receiving Social Security retirement benefits. If you want to claim your $500 for your children, make sure to go to IRS.gov/EIP. Go to the non-filers tool and make sure to input your information like your social, your children's socials, and claim that extra $500. Additionally, there's been a lot of frustration over folks still locked out of the portal receiving messages like please try again later. Remember, the best thing that you could do here is twofold. Number one, get your actual tax return. Go to your 1040, make sure all the information lines up perfectly. Even if you think it's similar because you're looking at the summary page, make sure you actually go to the 1040 page. There have actually been folks saying, hey, the summary page has rounding and the 1040 doesn't, and maybe that's why I can't get in. Also, very important, if you get locked out and it says, please try again later, write down the time. Let's say you got locked out at 3 p.m., try again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Give it 26 hours because the system takes a little bit of time to reset you on that lockout. So if you try right at 24 hours and 1 minute after, you might get locked out again. It's a crappy system. Tell me about it. I've heard nothing worse about this one. Even though they are trying to fix it, I don't think that's a lot of consolation that they're trying to fix it. In other news, there's actually this interesting Forbes article that broke down how there's this system called the Treasury Offset Program, and this essentially is the database that you get reported to if you owe a child support. And so anytime the government sends tax refunds or stimulus checks, they check the top database, and if your name's on there and you owe money, you don't end up getting your stimulus check, you don't get your tax refund, it gets diverted to the custodial parent. Kind of interesting, never heard of the top system or top database before. In other news, we mentioned this yesterday, but quick reminder, the Wall Street Journal published a report yesterday that we are expecting a lot of folks to see their direct deposits this week. So if you have not yet gotten your check and you are eligible for direct deposit this week, it could be a big week for a lot of us, which is great news. Also, I've been bombarded with questions about this, especially in our Discord chat, which by the way is the best place to ask questions, in the Discord chat. That's linked down below. But anyway, a lot of folks are wondering, hey, Kevin, I claimed my brother as a dependent. I claimed my daughter as a dependent. I claimed my adult parent as a dependent. I claimed my grandmother as a dependent. Will they get a stimulus check? I supported them, I didn't support them, any sort of variation. It doesn't matter. If somebody was claimed as a dependent, they don't get the stimulus. If they're 17 and over, they don't even get the $500. Why? This is another question that kept coming up, because when you claim somebody as a dependent, you get different tax benefits. That's why you claim somebody as a dependent. And the way the tax code is written and the way this law was written was that if you claim them as a dependent, you get the other benefits. Unfortunately, that means you don't get the stimulus check for that person in this round. It sucks, but it is what it is. Now, let's talk a little bit about the PAU, and this is where we're seeing that $600 plus per week, and I specifically want to use California as an example here. A lot of folks have really expressed a lot of frustration over the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, and totally understandable because it sucks in terms of states' ability to get this up and running. So here's what's actually happening is a lot of states, we're coming on 29 days here now. Well, today's 29 days. We're coming on 30 days of the CARES Act having been passed, which authorized something known as the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, which is essentially what some folks are referring to as the unemployment extension, which allows you to receive unemployment if you would ordinarily have been denied. Well, that passed on March 27th, and so a lot of people who were self-employed, independent contractors, or partially unemployed, make too much income or whatever. A lot of folks who saw this bill passed applied for unemployment between March 27th and even as late as April 20th, and they got denied. And that's because a lot of states are looking going, you don't fit the check boxes. Sorry, you don't get unemployment. And there are even states where in New York, they're literally saying, in order for you to take advantage of the new Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, you have to apply, get denied, and then after you deny, petition for the PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. It's crazy, it's ridiculous. Now, where am I going with this? Well, the point is, now that we're almost a month after the CARES Act has passed, it's time to consider reapplying if you've been denied. California just today released this updated information, and I know this is, I'm reading California information here, but remember, they're all reading the same law. It is a federal law, so it doesn't matter what state you're in, they're all reading the same Pandemic Unemployment Assistance law. I'm just gonna use California as an example here as to what they're doing, because the odds are a lot of states are going to do something very, very similar. I encourage you check your individual state's unemployment website for this and for updates on specifically the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, PUA. Anyway, California, look what they're saying here. They're saying phase 1, you will receive $167 per week that you were unemployed from Feb 2nd to March 28th. That's sort of their retroactive pay there. Then in phase 2, you'll actually receive $167 plus $600 per week for 13 weeks. That's $767 per week for 13 weeks between March 29th and July 25th. So if you apply now and you get approved by, let's say, May 10th, you'll actually receive retroactive pay along this schedule. And most states are doing this. The only thing that's going to be different at most states is that initial per week. See, California is $167 per week. A lot of states have their own numbers. Like Florida, it's like $285. New York, it's substantially more. I think New York's like $400. So it just depends on your state in terms of what that initial sort of 167 actually is. So think of that as like a variable for your state. But this is very interesting. So phase 1, Feb 2nd to March 28th, $167 per week. That's basically state pay only. Phase 2, $167 plus the PUA, the $600 from the Fed for 13 weeks. Then phase 3 is July 26th to December 26th, back to $167 per week. So bottom line, you get 13 weeks of $600 per week and 39 weeks worth of whatever your state pays you. California's example is $167. And the big bottom line of this is, when in doubt, apply. How do you apply? You go to your state's unemployment website. Some of them are not updated yet. Florida's apparently the slowest. I hate to say it, but they are all working hard on doing it. California's just, actually they say here, we will begin accepting applications on Tuesday, April 28th, which is like, oh my gosh, that is a month and a day after the CARES Act passed that they are accepting applications for the PUA. So I know it's frustrating, be patient with this, but this is a really good sign, because if California has this model and California is showing, hey, look, it took us a month and a day to get this live, the odds are every state is having the same issue, and those are exactly the reports that I'm seeing. So don't get discouraged if you got denied, you're partially unemployed. And I get a lot of these questions like, hey, I'm a teacher and I lost my side hustle, or, my hours got cut, or my income's down. Or I'm self-employed and my business dried up, or my side hustle, like I'm not getting income anymore from my eBay business. Folks, all y'all, when in doubt, apply. There's no harm in applying, and if you've already applied and you got denied, realize, bottom line, you might want to try applying again. But check your state, because look, if California, one of the most populous states in the country, took a month and a day to get this up. I mean, they got like the biggest unemployment department ever. If it took them that long to get it up, it's gonna take a while to get it up in your area too. And that's a reference to unemployment, okay? All right, now let's talk a little bit about the EIDL. A lot of questions about this. In fact, some folks are giving heat to the idea of calling the EIDL program an additional stimulus check. Folks, it is an additional stimulus check. The EIDL program says if you are self-employed, you have a side hustle, you have a small business, and you have been affected by this pandemic, you can request up to $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000, and you will get that direct deposited into your account. That is essentially the same thing as an additional stimulus check. This only applies, though, if you actually have a side hustle, which over half of Americans do. More people qualify for this than don't. So this is very good, and we are waiting for this portal to open up again. We're hopeful that this portal will open up again on Monday or Tuesday. There is a potential that they actually won't open the portal again if they just keep processing all the folks who are already in the pipeline. But I think that's going to leave a lot of people very, very frustrated. So my recommendation is when this portal opens up again, you're ready to pounce on this portal because you're going to want to be one of the first folks in line. Obviously, I'll be sending an announcement out not only in Discord, that's the first place I'll be posting an announcement, but I'm sure I'll post an announcement on this channel as well, so make sure you turn your notifications on. All right, let's talk about the EIDL. Now, a lot of questions about this, whether or not you should apply again if you made a mistake or if you have more employees or whatever. What I'm recommending for this, and this is my opinion, this is not from the Small Business Administration, there are sections in that application where you can put a note in. I would put a very brief and concise note. Previously applied, accidentally put 0 employees. I have 1 employee, and then reapply when that portal opens up again. The same would be, hey, I accidentally put 2 employees, but I actually have 3. Try. That's my recommendation. This is my speculation because I personally believe somebody's sitting, well, a lot of people probably sitting at the SBA. Here's your batch, here's your batch, here's your batch. And they're literally sitting there like they're going through email. Approve, next. Okay, this person applied 4 times, don't see any notes, too confusing, next. So it's just my guess. I'm trying to look beneath the sort of, or behind the curtain, so to speak, and go, how y'all doing this? And I don't know, but I believe, if I were sitting at the SBA and I saw, okay, here's Kevin, he applied twice. First time he said he had 0 employees. The second time, oh, here's a note. Oh, the first time you didn't claim yourself. Okay, no problem, approve. That's my opinion, totally speculating, but that's what I would do. I can't say that's a recommendation to reapply, but it's certainly what's on my mind in terms of what I probably would do. And honestly, it's not my problem if I apply multiple times. Guess whose problem it is? The SBA. Like, they should issue some darn guidance on this stuff. Why are we having to come up with our own guesses over here? Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the PPP. Can you get unemployment and the PPP loan? Yes, you can, because the PPP loan only covers you for the 8 weeks that you actually get the loan. You can't get unemployment and pay yourself your payroll during the same 8-week period. But let's say you get your PPP loan from May 1, so all of May and all of June, you still qualify for unemployment before the retroactive unemployment. And what about afterwards? What if things aren't back to normal afterwards? So, when in doubt, apply for both, okay? One thing I want to end on here, which I think is actually hilarious, and I think it's a really good thing for y'all to know and be aware of, because this is something that's spreading through our community and our society, and it's very important. But before I say it, I gotta remind you, make sure to get your 2 free stocks with Webull. If you deposit $100, you get up to $1,400 in free stocks with the stock trading platform Webull. And of course, get yourself life insurance. If you apply using the link down below, you can get life insurance within 5 minutes on your phone. Super easy to do, super functional. Love both of these companies. I would not be pitching these companies if I didn't use them myself. Obviously, you can join me in my courses as well. I would love to see you and talk to you in person live every day the market's open at 9 a.m. Okay, now the big thing, the PPP. There is so much news and drama right now about 13 companies and more publicly traded companies giving back their paycheck protection money. And this makes sense because we hear that and we initially think, and this is where I just want you to be able to think critically and think a little bit deeper than sort of the basic information that we're hearing about on TV. Initially, we hear that and we think, oh, wow, big publicly traded companies are getting the PPP. That money's supposed to be for small businesses, the mom and pop shops. And that's true. That's the intention of that. And so now larger companies like Ruth's Chris and AutoNation and Potbelly and Shake Shack are like, here, okay, have the money back. We're doing the right thing. We're giving the money back so small mom and pops can take the money. It's not a charity. These large companies are giving the money back because the PPP is a toxic loan. It's like a time bomb. Think about it this way. Ruth Chris, AutoNation furloughs 3,000 employees at car dealerships. And now those employees are collecting unemployment, potentially, $700, $800, $900, $1,000 a week. And AutoNation gets this toxic bag of like a $70 million loan, with the PPP or more. I think they may have even gotten a larger loan. Anyway, they get a large loan with the PPP. And let's say this little camera lid here is that toxic loan. That loan comes with these little strings attached. And those little strings attached say, hey, you need to bring back all of the people you furloughed, and we'll only give you enough money to pay them for 8 weeks. And so now the company's like, hey, y'all want to come back to work, all 3,000 of you? Half of those people are like, no, I'm collecting good unemployment here. Are you kidding me? I ain't coming back to work. And the companies are like, but we got all this money to pay you. We don't want to come back, they say. Think about it. It's a toxic loan. And if the company doesn't bring the people back, the money's not forgivable. So now that the companies are getting flack in the media, what are the companies doing? Yeah, we're gonna give the money back because it's the right thing to do. Yeah, give it to small businesses. Oh, that was a crap loan anyway. Yeah, you guys stay on unemployment. Screw it, we'll keep our doors shut. It's a funny, weird, screwed up world we're in, but I wanted to share that perspective with you. So there you have it, folks. Check out the links down below. Appreciate you tuning in and watching. Thank you so much. We'll see you again later today. Thanks again, bye.